Can a man's career now be trashed with just an accusation of sexual misconduct? The bar seems to be getting a bit lower and lower. And this week, two more powerful men have fallen from grace, at least temporarily. Ryan Lizza was fired from The New Yorker, and Tavis Smiley was suspended by PBS. But in both cases, the specifics of the accusations of sexual improprieties were not made public. No names, no stories, no nothing. And both men say the relationships in question were consensual. Smiley went on a forceful counterattack in a video posted on Facebook.
PBS overreacted, and they launched a sloppy investigation. It is clear that this has gone too far, and I, for one, intend to fight back.
So have we reached a dangerous tipping point in the Me Too movement? And is this the start of a serious pushback from men, and maybe women too? Let's turn to Raymond Arroyo, managing editor of EWTN News, along with Wendy Asofo, who's a Democratic strategist. Wendy, let's start with you. I can't stand men who do this in the workplace. Absolutely. I think it's foul and gross. I also don't like accusations made years later with no ability for an individual, man or woman, to defend themselves. Yeah. That's really, I mean, I know Tavis Smiley a little bit. I've known him for a casual friend for 20 years. I think he's telling the truth. My gut, I watched Tavis, I'm like, he's really ticked off. He's really mad. And now a consensual relationship in the workplace is apparently tantamount to sexual harassment. What's your take?
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I think one thing that stuck out to me when Tavis was talking is that he kept on talking about this consensual relationship. And that's great if he had one. But the allegations from PBS, they talked about multiple relationships. And that's what's interesting.
About multiple consensual relationships. You can't have those? I thought it's a free love generation now. We can do whatever we want.
Absolutely, you can do what you want. But they said it's not just one person that was consensual. There's actually other people there.
So, how's that harassment?
But you know what's really interesting here is this whole notion of due process. Due process is a legal term. When we're talking about the employment, that does not go into the realm of the employment agency.
Wendy, in the name of justice, though, you can't just be charging men and having secret investigations with people who may have had consensual relationships with him. Maybe he's telling the truth. Here's my problem. We are seeing a rash of this. This feels like a revival of The Crucible. I hope Arthur Miller is getting residuals for this. Look, I have a guy I worked with years ago in Summerstock, Robert Knepper. He's a great character actor. He's on a show called iZombie on CW. They suspended him for multiple sex abuse allegations. Today, they cleared him of all those charges. He's back at work and on the set. That's how it should work. But he was almost driven away entirely. I mean, his name was, the reports went out there in Variety and the Hollywood Reporter. His name was tarnished as a result of this. And I worry when you have dead people now being charged.
Wait, who's dead getting charged right
Samantha Fox charged David Cassidy, who's been dead for 2 weeks, with sexual groping in the 1980s. We have
1980s?
We have to take a breath and figure out what is legitimate here, but I worry that there's a fever in the air, and that men, particularly those in the public eye, are susceptible to this kind of attack.
And that is the court of public opinion, and I do think that that's the downside. The downside is even if you are proven innocent, the court of public opinion has already judged you, and it's hard for you to get your name back.
I think it's going to start happening to women too. Women in positions of authority, bosses. And I think women are going to get burned by this, because I think there are a lot of people who are not going to hire women, not because they don't like working with women, but because they're afraid. I think men and women perhaps are going to be afraid to operate in the workplace because of these kinds of charges. Years later, if you have a meeting behind closed doors,
you don't know.
What can you do? 10 years later, oh no, you said I didn't say this. I don't remember.
30 years ago in an elevator, you bumped me, and I felt awkward about that.
It's not about that. It's about making sure that we conduct ourselves in a professional manner. And I think if there's smoke somewhere, there may be fire. And we have to investigate that.
See, I don't mind puritanical moral indignation.
Let's take it across the board.
Just make sure you act like a Puritan and comport yourself.
Yeah, what was it? Marcy Kaptur, the congresswoman this week, said that, what did she say? That
she said that there was a member who had a cleavage that went down to the floor, and that was an invitation. And other Democratic women were not happy.
Yeah, that was completely wrong.
So how you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself, how how you dress doesn't.
That should
doesn't
not.
say anything.
You know what? It does not say anything.
Your dress is up to your pubic bone. That doesn't say.
Oh, Laura, I think
I've seen that coming out of some of the schools in D.C.
No,
I'm sorry.
I do not think the way you dress should invite any form of sexual assault. I think that is not good. That is not what we're talking about.
All right, but I'm just saying there are some mini skirts. We are pushing it.
It's not an invitation, but it does send a man a certain impression of how a woman views herself, and ditto what a man's wearing.
I completely disagree.
If I come in a wife beater shirt and jockey shorts, that tells you.
I don't want to.
No, you would think there's something wrong with this man.
No, I would think.
No, oh no, come on. So Paul Ryan.